Kyle, as you know, great teams don't just happen, man. They're built. One hard conversation, one high standard, one shared victory at a time. And it's really about creating a culture where the vision and mission comes before the self, right? And where individuals can grow, they can become the best versions of themselves, and you build a team that dominates. And so I think for us, the goal wasn't just finding great people, finding the right people and putting them in the right seats. Yes, for sure. Playing to their strengths, developing them, sharpening them, aligning them. I mean, you put all that together as a leader, and now you got a very sharp edge. And one of my favorite quotes, I know the audience hasn't heard us talk about the All Blacks yet. And he says, better people make better All Blacks. And so in other words, better people make better teams. Today, I think we should give the audience some of the framework that we've used and we've learned through failure and success on how you transform a team into really something special. And from talent to trust, feedback to fire, everything is on the table today.
I want to start with a little story time. Well, we'll do a little story time because I love coming in hot with a pretty solid example. Real world story here. And I'm going to share the story of Satya Nadella and the all-time transformation that he did at Microsoft. It was 2014. And when he took over, it really wasn't the juggernaut that we think of today. There have been highs and lows in Microsoft's offerings throughout the years, and he came in at a real low point, man. It was not a juggernaut. In fact, it was like bloated, it was bureaucratic, and they were just flat out losing the innovation race. And Satya had a lot of work ahead of him. So he comes in, and he doesn't come in and say, hey, we're going to turn this company around with a new product. Like we're going to invent something new. He started with a new mindset. Everybody here has to change their mindset. And in just a few years, he completely transformed Microsoft from a culture of what he would call know-it-all to a culture of learn-it-all. And his philosophy was simple yet powerful. A culture built on empathy and curiosity equals competitive advantage.
Ooh, I love that.
A culture built on empathy and curiosity equals a competitive advantage. And so his leadership centered around this simple but radical principle that the C in CEO stands for culture. Nothing is more important than the culture. And so he set about to rebuild the culture. And he was inspired by Carol Dweck's book, Mindset. Of course, we've referenced that one before. But he believed that what the company believes about its own ability to grow would define its future. To establish growth mindset at scale. And he introduced Carol Dweck's growth mindset as a company-wide leadership principle. And so senior leaders were asked to model intellectual humility. This is so important, to be approachable as a leader by asking more questions, by seeking feedback, and just flat out admitting what they didn't know. Really, culture is reinforced by what leaders reward, by what leaders repeat, and by what leadership is going to tolerate, top down. The second thing he started to do was he worked on breaking silos and building trust. And so Nadella prioritized cross-functional collaboration. Like, we all need to work together, and we all need to be open-minded about how using one another as a resource can help us grow as an organization. And he reorganized around customer solutions. Like, what's going to solve a problem for the end user? Like, let's get out of our own way. We have this hubris that, we know what we're doing and we're going to create the solutions. And he said, no, we can't focus on our products. We need to focus on the solutions that we're offering because we're not growing. We're not offering the right solutions. And then we set goals around that. Lastly, he set out to foster psychological safety and servant leadership. And if you haven't done a little bit of reading on psychological safety, I highly recommend you invest some time into Project Aristotle and what happened at Google and how they define psychological safety. But anyways, Satya modeled empathy as a leadership tool, not a soft skill. This is a strategic lever as a leader to approach each and every day with empathy. And they began coaching all of their leadership on emotional intelligence and active listening and patience and empathy.
Kyle, tell me, what was the result of that initiative?
Well, Microsoft's market cap grew from 300 billion, which isn't bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The 300 billion is crazy, but it grew to over 2.8 trillion under
crazy.
Nadella's leadership.
One of the things that just really highlights is like it all starts at the top. You have your CEO and he's like, this is the vision. This is the change. This is the mindset I want to implement. These are the belief systems I want to reshape. And that's where it starts. And that's why it ultimately was a successful outcome going through that process, because it started at the top and he lived it, he breathed it, he shaped the path, he motivated the teams to hop on board. And let's keep story time going, man.
Yeah, man.
I got a story.
Let's
Let's go. This one hits close to home for both of us, but I mean, I think it's one of my favorite stories when it comes to team building, man. And it's about Rise, man, and the teams that we built at Rise, man. And it just takes me right back there. And for me, for us, really, you know, this is the first time we had the opportunity to take extreme ownership over building a team. And honestly, we didn't know what we were doing. Let's just be honest. In the beginning, we had no idea what the hell we were doing. But, you know, we knew what we wanted to try to accomplish. And so we're trying to build a squad, man. We're trying to build a dangerous team, a unit that can go really toe-to-toe with anyone in the industry, man, that can compete with the best of the best. And one thing it came to mind when I was like reflecting on that time was like, I just remembered, I would quote this all the time in interviews, man. Steve Jobs is an exceptional quote. And that I deployed early and often. I was like, here at Rise, we don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Yes. And that line really just became a filter for every hire, every conversation, every decision, and really embodied like, you know what, we need to hire people that are better at us at a specific skill set, or that are smarter, that can bring new ideas. And so it wasn't just about let's go find the best talent out there who can run the fastest 40 time. That's usually not going to be the one that's going to be the champion. So it was about building a culture of ownership and leadership really from day one. So early on, you know, we realized that it's hard work beats talent, man. And so talent alone would not cut it. So we needed those people that were going to grind, that were going to hustle, the ones who didn't just fit the culture, but what did they do? They amplified it. They helped us move it forward. That's a very important thing. And I think one of the biggest breakthroughs for us was when we started leaning heavily into former student athletes, right? And these were the people who knew how to push through the pain, man, how to fail forward and how to rally a team. They didn't get bummed out, man. You know, like they didn't get bummed out and they didn't play the victim card when things didn't go their way. They didn't make excuses, you know, and they understood that discomfort as part of the journey to success. They had that mindset that, you know, is really that kind of unshakable. Like they don't break in or they don't break easy, and they know how to compete. They know how to win, not just on the court, not just on the field, but in life. And it was that individual, that character of the human that really, hey, I'm here to grind when things get hard. I'm here to sacrifice to win. I'm here to lead by example, even if I'm not in a leadership role, right? And one of our many mantras over the year, that success was a team sport. So that decision, for, to hire for character over skill and experience, man, that paid off for us. And it was like, really, we weren't just building a company, we were building that culture. And to pull it all together is, I think when you build your team around high character people who share your core ethos traits, you're no longer managing employees, you are leading a movement. And that's, at least in our experience, when the scoreboard just starts to lighten up.
And so we're going to talk about 3 tools now. 3 tools that you all can use to develop elite teams. And the first tool that I will share with you is role clarity and ownership. Role clarity and ownership. And why is this important? Well, confused teams underperform. When roles are unclear, decisions stall, and energy leaks. When roles and responsibilities are clear, you get fast execution and deeper accountability. So you got to define every role like a position on the field. You have clear responsibilities, you have success metrics of what it means to deliver in your role, and you have authority to make decisions for yourself. Public. Make it known to everybody else. So there's clarity there. Because if everybody owns it, no one owns it. If one person owns it, it's going to get done. Yeah. So clear roles create confident team players, and confident players execute fast.
Tool number two, I love everything about it. Feedback is fuel. And why this one hits for me is I think most teams, they avoid feedback. They avoid confronting the brutal truth, man. But when you're in a high performance environment, a high performance team, an elite team, you actually do the opposite. You don't avoid it. You lean hard. You double down. You triple down. And, elite teams, they know that the fastest way to close the gap between where they're at right now and where they're trying to go is through that raw, punch you in the face, unfiltered feedback. How does this work? A great question, Kyle. Thank you for asking. You got to make it routine, man. You got not rare. And so it can't be a quarterly thing. It can't be an annual performance review thing. It has to be a part of your weekly cadence or rhythm, whether it's the one-on-ones you're talking about or the stand-ups or the team huddles or post-game, post-meeting breakdowns or, the debrief, right? I love everything about a good debrief. But you got to make it like you do in the gym, man. You got to get those reps in, dog. You got to get those reps in. You got to train that muscle because it's a skill, right? It's not just a reaction. And and teach your team how to deliver it with precision and receive it, without ego, man. Lead with empathy. Going back to the start of this, you as a leader, you got to start with empathy, man. One thing too is coach it in real time, right? Don't wait for that perfect moment. Is you see that mistake, beautiful. Coach it up right then and there. Yeah. Use it as a training opportunity. That's what great teams do. They course correct, right? And they do it in real time. But celebrate too. So important. Not just giving the constructive feedback. You got to celebrate progress, man. Not just perfection. It's progress, not perfection, really. And so when the wins happen, even if they're microscopic to up to the macro wins, man, is you have to recognize, acknowledge them, man. Clap that up. Let's go. That's exceptional. Let's go. The progress principle says this: small wins build the momentum for the big wins. Small wins build the momentum for the big ones, man. If you have the right mindset, it's going to give you fuel. It's going to give you oxygen, man. It's going to help you become the best version of yourself.
Right. Third and final tool, build a team identity. Culture isn't what you say. It's not what's written on the wall. It's what you consistently do. So to build identity, you need to shape behavior, especially in times of pressure. So when the team knows who they are, they're going to show up with purpose, pride, and unity. Okay, here's how it works. You need to define core values the team must live by. Doesn't have to be a huge long list. You can start with 2 things. You can start with 3, but there's 3 focus points that these are our core values. The team must live by these, not some corporate fluff, but real behavioral anchors. And then reinforce values through rituals like weekly shout outs, player-led meetings, just a shared standard that you're talking about regularly, consistently reinforcing it. Tell stories that embody the values. That means highlight a win that somebody executed that is based on your company's values. Go out of your way to do this regularly. And make it a point as a leader to protect culture at all costs. Call out behavior that doesn't fit. Call out behavior that doesn't match, even from and especially from your top performers. They need to be held accountable just like everybody else. So culture is the scoreboard that is behind the scoreboard. If you're getting culture right, everything's going to come out in the wash. So when an identity is clear, your team identity is clear, then behaviors are going to align and your team's going to operate as one.
Yeah. I want to just add to that toxic top performer, man, is like that happens so often. Is like, well, crushing it. He or she's crushing it, right. So I'm gonna put up with it. I'm gonna put my head in the sand and act like there's no issue there. And it's like, no, like that's the fastest way to not build a championship culture, to not build a championship team, when you let your top performer, because they're the top performer driving the most revenue, be toxic to the team and toxic to the culture. Those people got to go. You got to hit the eject button on them. Closing challenge, meet with your team and, clarify one role or deliver one piece of real feedback. Set one standard everyone can anchor to and start building, not just working.